You guys know I love podcasting and listening to podcasts, and I'm guessing if you're listening to this that you love podcasts too. Have you ever considered podcasting yourself? It is a great way to reach your audience, grow your know, like and trust factor, and not need to show your face unless you want to. If it is something you've thought about but you don't know where to start, then head over to becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz, BAP quiz, to access a 2-minute quiz that will help you work out what type of podcast might suit you. That's becomeapodcaster.uk/BAP quiz.
With the PM clarifying the new price cap, energy prices soaring, and prices across the board increasing, how do we protect our businesses? Let's jump into today's show. Welcome back to the Wedding Procast UK. My name is Donna. I am your host, and today we're going to be looking at ways to protect your business through this increased cost of living. Now, before I get started, I just wanted to say how proud I was on Monday of the British people being here, being a Brit, and just seeing, there are people that think it's all pomp and circumstance, and I love it. I love it. I thought it was absolutely fitting, and I was so thrilled to see the effort and lengths they went to celebrate the Queen on Monday. I watched the whole thing, and yes, I shed many tears. My tears especially peaked at Emma the pony and the 2 corgis. That really got me, because it just made me think about how they have no idea really what's going on. They didn't know why they were being stood where they were stood. They just did it. And it kind of broke my heart a little bit. That upset me because they don't understand. And I think the family did us absolutely proud. They did their mum proud. They did their grandma proud. They did their great grandmother proud. Seeing George and Charlotte walking with their mum and dad was really touching. So I think it was a very fitting send-off for Her Majesty. So I just wanted to address that, because my podcast kind of has been coming out in between all of the things that have happened. So I've still continued to put it out, and I know that other people, it has fallen on their days where they might put a podcast out or might deliver something to you guys, and they have perhaps just put something up instead of to celebrate the Queen. And I just wanted to take a moment here at the beginning of this episode to do the same, and say that I am very grateful that she was my Queen for so long. And I was very proud to be British on Monday. But we are going to move on to the topic of today. And today we are going to be talking about recession-proofing your business. So we have been through it, right? It has been absolutely crazy these last few years. And I just want us to take a moment to actually be nice to ourselves, give ourselves a pat on the back, because we are surviving in a land that is uncharted. There were businesses that went through absolute hyper growth in the pandemic, and there were businesses that started in the pandemic and soared. They'll be hitting lows over the next few years that they couldn't have even imagined going through. And especially if they started their business at the beginning of the pandemic, they will have not seen a recession before, and they won't know what to expect from this. So if you have been in business for a long time and was here through the previous recession, definitely, I would love it if you would come over to the Wedding Procast group on Facebook and just drop some tips, hints, tricks, anything you like, a bit of advice for everybody who maybe hasn't yet gone through a recession, and how you manage to charter your way through that. And if there is anybody out there that is in the wedding industry and went through the last recession and would like to come on and speak about it, I would absolutely love to have you on the show. There is a form that you can fill out. It is on the podcast show notes, just underneath where the podcast player is. There is or just above, there is a form that you can click on to fill in if you would like to come and be a guest on the show. I would love to have you. So we had the people that went through hypergrowth, and good for them. I'm not going to begrudge somebody going through hypergrowth, but usually following hypergrowth is a lull. And for us, unfortunately, in the wedding industry, it has not been a hypergrowth, a low growth kind of thing. It's not an uphill, down dale kind of thing. It's more like falling off the side of the cliff, and then we plateaued and got to walk along in 2022, which was a bit of a reprieve from 2020 and 2021. But there is another drop coming, and with the increased cost of living, the first thing that people drop are the non-essentials, the nail appointments, the hair appointments, going and buying clothes, and weddings will be impacted yet again, which is just heartbreaking to me. Weddings aren't an essential, and some will choose to delay planning until there is more stability in the air when it comes to the economy. Those who are currently planning may start to look at ways that they can save on costs more heavily, and people will certainly be looking at their priorities and where they want to be spending their wedding budgets. So what does this mean for us? Well, my prediction is that we are going to see a lot more micro weddings of the like we had in 2021. They will become more prevalent. People will perhaps go back to the way things used to be, in effect. Once upon a time, when there were a lot more religious ceremonies and a lot fewer places outside of a registry office or a church or a synagogue or a temple that you could get married at, people tended to have a lot smaller group of people watch them get married. Especially in registry offices, their capacities tended to be a lot lower. So you would have a smaller group of people come and watch you get married. Then you would have an evening reception where everybody would come to the party who couldn't come to the day. Now, we still do have that kind of traditional timeline going on where there will be a wedding breakfast and then a reception. However, because people tend to nowadays get married at the same place they have their receptions, they tend to invite everybody to the whole thing. There might be a few people that end up coming later in the day, but it is a lot less than it used to be. So we might see a return to that, whether it's smaller groups watching the actual wedding and being at the wedding breakfast, maybe just immediate family and closest friends, and then a lot more people coming to an evening reception. I can see people choosing to forgo certain parts of the day to give more budget to their important areas. So maybe people will start to forget the wedding breakfast and go straight into a bigger evening reception, or maybe people will forget the evening reception to have a larger wedding breakfast. I can see that happening along the lines, but I also see that there is a value in weddings. It is a chance for people to celebrate. It is a chance for people to come together. It is a chance for families to bond, and they are so important for that. And I feel that actually there will be people that use it for that reason. It's like, no, we're not going to put it off. It's going to be the one thing that everybody can look forward to. It's going to be the one thing where we can all get together and have a good old time, even in this, when everything else seems pretty shit, to be honest. So I can see people using their weddings as that chance to escape the realities of the day. However, there is still going to be an adjustment, and given what we have been through, it is likely to impact us a little more than it perhaps would have if we hadn't just gone through the last 2 years. So what can we do to protect our businesses? Well, the first thing I want to look at is pricing. So you need to get really, really clear on your pricing, like crystal clear on your pricing. Now, I heard a podcast the other day from Lucille Roach, who was on the podcast a little while back. I will link her episode in the show notes, and I will link this episode of her podcast in the show notes so that you can go and listen to it. But she said, just because the the cost of living has gone up, it doesn't mean everyone is feeling the pinch. So I am sure that even those with excess cash will be reining things in a little and not spending quite freely on the day-to-day things. But my guess is that they will still go all out on their wedding day. Lowering your prices shouldn't be top of the list. In fact, Lucille said that you might want to actually look at increasing your prices. And this was a little story that she told of a guy who set up a membership and he put it at a rock bottom price because he said, I know that you guys are feeling the pinch of the times and nobody's got extra money to spend. So I put it at a really, really low price for you. And what happened was he certainly wasn't getting the revenue that he anticipated. And what happened was he started to resent delivering the content for his membership because he didn't feel he was being paid what he was worth. But he'd done that himself. Lucille said, don't judge the income that other people have. You don't know. And so lowering your prices shouldn't be at the top of your list. And she actually said you might want to look at increasing your prices, not because you need the extra income, although we do, but because what you offer is valuable. What you offer is valuable, and you deserve to be compensated appropriately for it. So now is a great time to look at your prices. I did an episode a few weeks back, which I will also link in the show notes. It was episode 120, bit.ly/WPC UK 120. And I just completed my low season priority series, which goes over planning this last quarter and what you might want to think about when you're evaluating the year that has gone and the last couple of years, where you're predicting the future will be and how you might want to go about planning that. I have a freebie with that, which is the Success Planner for 2023, which you can download. It is linked in the show notes, so you can go back, you can download that freebie, you can go and listen to those podcasts and get this planning session in place and look at your prices. So now is a really great time to look at your prices. Where are you now? Where are your ideal clients now? Who are your ideal clients? Where do they fall on the economy scale? You know, do they have really good paying jobs? Are they at the lower end of the workforce, really sort of in that working class bracket? Are they directors and managing directors of their companies? Where is their income? Because although, like I said, there will be people that are cutting back and stopping maybe the excesses that they have been enjoying of recent years, the people who have money will still have money, you know, so don't just sort of think that you need to slash your prices to stay in business, because you need to stay in business. So you need to make sure that you have got money to cover your costs as well. So don't forget to take your costs into consideration when you're working on your prices. So the second thing that I wanted to address was something that I bang on about so much on here. I'm sure you're bored of it if you are a regular listener. But if you're not a regular listener, and just to remind the regular listeners, I can't scream from the rooftops highly enough about creating multiple revenue streams. Now, I understand that weddings is where you want to be. You want to be doing your weddings, and that is why you became a wedding vendor. However, we are in a situation, and I said it back at the beginning of the pandemic, that we don't want to put all our eggs in one basket. If you listened to me back then, I hope that you have got several revenue streams that are working for you. So if the weddings do slow down, if the level of income coming in because people are choosing different packages goes down, that you have got other revenue streams that you can pull on. So if you're thinking about wedding related revenue streams that you could create, you could consider, and this would work for planners especially, you could consider adding power hours to your price list. And by doing this, you can give couples an hour of your time to go over maybe one particular thing or over the timeline of their day, or you can help them with something specific that they're struggling with. It will give you a bump because this is something that you could charge, say, between 60 and £100 for, maybe more, maybe less, depending on who you are and where your prices sit. But you could charge around that kind of price for a power hour with you, where somebody could sit down with you and say, okay, I'm really struggling on choosing my photographer. I've got these 5 vendors and I don't know who to choose. And you could go through it with them and talk them through how you would go about choosing the right photographer. Or maybe they say, like, we've booked everything, but we have no idea how to put the day together. We don't know who's going where and what. And they want an hour of your time to go over their timeline. All of these things give them an opportunity to have some professional help on their day or in their day, for their day, without having to commit to a bigger purchase. So this might be a way of getting people in and giving them a taster of what you do as well, because you might find that after doing a power hour, somebody says, do you know what? You absolutely rocked that. I actually need you for my day. And they might then hire you to do it for them. Or they might come back and have a couple of power hours with you throughout their planning time, which could end up adding up to nearly the same price as your package. So you would get that same revenue coming in without having to be at the beck and call of your bride and groom, as it were. So that might be a consideration for wedding planners especially. There may be other vendors who would find that useful. I couldn't think of any off the top of my head, but I thought, that would work for wedding planners, sorry. The second thing is to consider courses, in-person and online courses. So now that we are out of the pandemic, we can meet in person. So in-person courses would be a great thing to do. So maybe you're a photographer and you could do some digital photography classes. Maybe you're a florist and you could do flower arranging classes. Christmas is coming. People like to do wreaths for their doors. And I think I certainly did when I did it. They enjoy making them themselves rather than buying them. And it can be a nice thing to get their friends involved with. You could even put it out on social, get 6 friends together and I'll come round and you can have a glass of wine and we can make wreaths together, and you could actually do it in people's houses, a little bit like the multi-level marketing party planning companies. They go to people's houses and they do parties. Well, you could do that with your flowers, with your wreaths, and you could do that all year round. So Christmas wreaths, Easter wreaths, autumn wreaths. My mum loves her autumn wreath. It's fake, but you could do this as an extension to your business. You could also, with invitations, you could show people maybe how to make handmade paper. You could teach people the art of calligraphy. You could teach the craft of creating an invitation. You could teach people how to do it so that they don't need you, but they are paying you for the course. So you may be looking at gearing yourself to the DIY market there for the courses, but then you've got your high-end clients that are going to come to you for what it is that you do. So you could do that in person. You could also do it online. So you could put a course together that you sell as an evergreen course online that just works in the background for you. You could create an ebook on your trade, something that people could download for a small cost and get some benefit from. And there could be other hobbies that you have that you could monetize. So, for instance, I am absolutely loving doing my crafting YouTube channel, and I stumbled across crochet again, and I've started crocheting scarves, and I'm selling my scarves on social media because I love making them, and I think that they are a lovely gift idea for people. So it's another little revenue stream for me. So you could monetize your other hobbies as well. So you need to have a look at what you could do that would bring in extra money, whether it is creating these additional revenue streams through what you already do, or whether it is taking on a part-time job. It's not something to be shied away from by any means. If you can get a job that is flexible enough that you can work it around what you do, just so that you have got that extra bit of income or that stability of regular income coming into your home at the moment, it's not a bad thing to do if it means that you can keep your doors open, because at the end of the day, that's what all of this is looking to do, is to make sure that you can keep your doors open. I don't want to see any more wedding vendors losing their businesses because of what we've been through. So I really want to try and help you protect what is yours and what you have worked so hard for. And I think some people might see it as a bit of a failure if they go and get a regular job, but I think if you can get something that is part-time that just brings in that stability of income that allows you to continue to do your business as well, then it's a means to an end. It gets you through this period. It makes you feel more comfortable. You're going to be less stressed, and it's just going to be better for you and your family in the long run. So please don't sit there and think, I can't go back and get a real job, as everybody's always telling you, go get a real job. Please don't take it like that. Don't look at what other people are going to be thinking about you. It doesn't matter. You have got to do what is right for you and your family. For some people, that is going to be closing down their businesses. It just is. And I'm sorry if that is you and you have worked hard on your business and it's come to that point. I am gutted for you. But this episode is about trying to give you ways that you can try and ensure that your business is going to survive a recession and that you're going to be able to come back to it full force when the recession is over and enjoy the fruits of your labour. So the third thing that I wanted to talk about is cutting back. So one of the things that we can do when we're hitting a recession, and I've already talked about couples possibly doing it with different things in their day-to-day lives or for their wedding, but this is you cutting back. So where can you save money in your business and in your home life? Insurance, they're a big one. So if you have home insurance, if you have buildings and contents insurance, if you have car insurance, if you have Apple insurance, all of these different insurances that we have to protect us in case something go wrong. I'm not saying cancel them. Please do not cancel your insurances. They are important. However, shop around, guys. Make some time to shop around, because you could save hundreds of pounds if you shop around. It is so often the case that people just do the automatic renewal, and not even because they want to, but because they saw that the renewal was due, they got an email, they got a text, whatever, and they went, yeah, I'll get round to that. And then they don't. And then before they know it, they've already auto-renewed and they're like, oh, well, I'll sort it out next year. Please, please, please put it in your diary, put some time aside to actually go and check your insurances and see where you could save money, because you could really save a lot, especially if you are somebody who has let it roll over. I think my mum actually phoned somebody up the other day and ended up saving money with the company she was with. Like literally phoned up and said, oh yeah, it was her house insurance. She needed to change the level of cover and she changed it to higher cover, and they cut her direct debit. It was absolutely insane. So you could really be overpaying on your insurances. The other thing to look at is subscriptions, both in your business and at home. They're really, really sneaky. And if you aren't using them, then it's time to get rid of them. So we subscribe to all sorts. In my business, I subscribe to MailChimp, I subscribe to Buzzsprout, I subscribe to Thrivecart, I subscribe to Calendly, and I'm sure there's a couple of others. I have these subscriptions to software that I use for my business. Now, we tend to sign up to a lot of things, and maybe we sign up on a trial, maybe we sign up because we need it and we've moved away from whatever it was that needed it and now we're not using it. But just go through your statements and check what are you using and what aren't you using, and do the same at home as well, because Netflix, Hulu, Hey Disney Plus, all of these things are sitting there as subscriptions on your TV. How much TV are you really watching? Where are you watching it? Then you've got your Sky or your Virgin, you've got your broadband, you've got your telephone, you've got all of these things. How much are you paying for your mobile phone contract? Like, it is actually paining me to be paying my phone contract now, because I know I could be saving so much money, but it is awkward to move your phone when you want to keep your number. They do not make it easy, but I know I can save so much money, and I really need to make the time to do that, because that would be probably a £10 to £15 a month saving for me. So I need to do it. So take a look at what you're spending money on. Get rid of anything you're not spending money on. Walking versus driving. Are you driving to places that you could walk to? For instance, all of you mums out there, school, drop off and pick up. I know it takes extra time, but you can actually have a conversation with your children on the way to school and on the way back from school in the afternoon. And you can listen to podcasts or audiobooks. You could have phone calls with people. You could do things with that time that would allow you to walk, get a little bit of extra exercise in, get a little bit of fresh air. It's really good for the endorphins, and save money on petrol, and save the frustration and stress of the school run. Because I don't know about you, but I remember when I used to do the school run, and then I had no choice but to drive because my daughter went to school out of town. And if that's the case for you, then I get it. You don't have a choice. She was on a bus until the bus stopped, and then I had to drive her. And the number of cars that would go through this school, it was infuriating how many people were driving to the school that I know didn't need to drive, because it clogged up the roads. It made it really difficult turning, and just like kids everywhere, and it is pretty dangerous. So if you don't need to take your car to school, if it is in your town, if you can walk, then encourage it and do it, because it'll be good for your kids, it'll be good for you, and you can take some time. And we all need a little bit of time. We all need to make time for exercise, so use it as an excuse to get your exercise in. The next thing is insulating your home. So I have a older home that hasn't had new windows in since I've lived here. We've been here 3 years. I don't know how old the windows are that are here, but the doors are not the plastic ones with a 5-lever, lock yourself in like you're in a safe. So there is gaps. There is wind. When it is very windy, it sounds like there's bumblebees in my living room trying to get in through the window, because there is definitely a hole around there somewhere. So there are gaps, there are drafts. It is not very well insulated. So I'm about to buy some fabric to hang a curtain over my front door so that we can keep some of that cold air out and keep the heat in. Closing your curtains earlier in the evening so that you are locking that cold out as well, and things like that, so that we are conserving the heat that we have. Also heating rooms that you're in and not rooms that you're not in. Draft excluders, extra jumpers, extra socks, the whole 9 yards. Last night was pretty cold for me, and I had my socks on, I had my jumper on, and I was under a blanket on my sofa, and I was like, I refused to put my heating on because it is not that cold yet. So it is cold enough to put the heating on if heating prices weren't a thing, but but no, I was refusing to do it. Obviously, when it gets cold enough that the heating really is an essential, then use the heating by all means. But I'm just giving you ideas on how you could maybe reduce the need for the heating, or keep the heating that you're using, because the worst thing is to put your heating on and to have it all going out of a cold drafty door. So another thing that you might want to look at is if you are on a water meter, don't forget the water saving tips. So Anglian Water often have tips on their website on how you can save money on your water. One of the things that I do is that I do not add water to my toothbrush. So my partner, he will put water on his toothbrush, put the toothpaste on, be like brushing his teeth, and then he'll add the toothbrush back to the water and brush again, and add the toothbrush back to the water and brush again. And I'm like, what are you doing? I literally take my toothbrush, I put the toothpaste on, I start brushing my teeth, I brush my teeth for 2 minutes, I spit, I rinse my toothbrush, and I might zhug it round my mouth just to get the last bit of toothpaste out if I put a bit too much toothpaste on. But that's it. So I use probably a third of the water that he uses, if not less. because I just don't use that much water to brush my teeth. So there's a top tip for you. Also, showers instead of baths. I can shower in 8 minutes and do all of the necessary things. And if it's not a hair wash day, I can do it in half the time. So just check that you are not dawdling about in the shower. It is all right to take some time every now and then when it is a bit of self-care to have a lounge in a bath if that is what you love to do. But otherwise, get in, get out, get sorted, because I think we can waste a lot of time in the bathroom, to be fair. And then ensure your washing machine loads are full. So don't wash half a load of washing. Make sure it's a full load before you put the washing machine on. And don't wash clothes so often. I feel like we have gone from where there was hand washing, so everybody would wear something for a week, and then mother would do the hand washing at the weekend with the mangle, to suddenly you wear something once and it goes straight in the washing machine. Well, there's no need. There is no need, unless you have literally spilt something down you, or you used whatever you were wearing to exercise in, so it absolutely stinks. There is no need to wash an item of clothing because you've worn it once. I'm sorry, guys, there isn't. So just have a look at how often you're actually washing your clothes / wearing your clothes before you wash them, because you can make a big saving there on electricity and water by not using your washing machine as much. And all of those little savings can add up to big savings. So today we looked at ways to protect our business from the increased cost of living. We looked at pricing ourselves, we looked at growing different income streams, and we looked at ways to save money. So I hope that has helped, guys. As I say, if you have been through a recession before in your business and you came out the other side, I would love to have you come over to the Wedding Procast UK group on Facebook and share your knowledge with us so that we can all prepare ourselves better. Thank you so much for listening today, guys. I really appreciate it. Head over to the show notes to grab all of the downloads. It is over at bit.ly/WPCUK125. And if you head there, you will get all of the links to the podcast episodes that I've mentioned and the free download that I mentioned as well. And I hope to see you in the next one. Bye for now.
Don't forget to hit those stars and leave a review of the podcast where you listen if you found value in what you heard today. It's a free way you can help the podcast reach more people just like you.